So when we talk about the India supply chain network and the story that we are for the last 2 years that we have been in, the pandemic actually has bridged the global gap. And I would say that India today is equal to none. And I would say in certain stages or processes or working, it is more better than the advanced countries. So I think the progress, if you literally look at in terms of a supply chain network, we are basically standing in power with the most developed advanced countries that we call them today. And our working today has become the most challenging, equipped with the latest in technology. So I'll come and answer those particular questions at a later state of our conversations. But I would say that our supply chain journey in each of the aspects, when you talk about a supply chain, and we are talking about segments like freight forwarding, we are talking about the last mile segments, which are the home deliveries. We are talking about the warehousing business where we do hub and spoke network. We talk about automation in each of these areas. We're talking about custom clearance. We are talking about banking industry collaboration with the supply chain. So where is finance involved? So I would say that India today is forthright, well enough placed to handle any future capable requirements, existing and future capable requirements. And we are right up there in terms of supply chain networks and our offerings. Taru, I think this particular question is very apt in terms of looking at how the supply chain industry, not only in the logistics and supply chain domain, but for every organization today, supply chain is a big challenge, right? If you look at the challenges in terms of how easy it is to export and import, I think that is one of the biggest things that comes into our mind when we talk about logistics and supply chain. How do we take our goods, whether you import or export through a sea freight or an airline, the urgency of the requirements of the shipment, how much time does it take to clear the shipment, how easy it is to deliver? I think these are some of the questions that comes into our mind when we talk about the supply chain industry backbone. And obviously there are these challenges. There are certain challenges which are overcome over a period of time. There are certain challenges which will come up. So ease of doing business is something that everybody would ask as in a logistics domain. Number two is, how do you cut down the cost operating on a supply chain, which for every industry is one of the basic points of ask from a head of supply chain operating in a company. How do you reduce cost, deliver better, stay committed in your industry, and also see that all the USPs applied to handle a supply chain and logistics is fulfilled over a period of time in a more feasible and amicable manner, which is well understood that it does not hit the bottom line. So when I talk about the challenges in terms of technology domain, I think more or less if you look at the complete industry vertical today, more or less all are technology driven. And today the differentiator factor is that the consumer-led business are the driving forces of supply chain. When you look at a B2B or a B2C segment today, these are some of the things which are talking well enough, quite openly in terms of market capitalization, in terms of the newness of technology, the Amazonization, the AWS cloud platforms, mobility platforms that we today run on, answers this question by itself. So the challenge today is that how do you continue operating on these systems? How do you keep on upgrading yourselves with minimum touch points? I think that is going to be one of the biggest challenges for supply chain industry today. When I talk about seamless situation, leading softwares, AI-based, blockchain-based technologies are going to come up in a very leading ways where the touch points are minimized. There is a marketplace of operation. So today, as in look at supply chain industry, we are coming up the government is surely thinking about a supply chain policy which is going to come up in terms of do's and don'ts, processes, looking at marketplaces for a one single window platforms. So these are some of the things which are going to be the driving force in the future ready situations. If you look at another point which is very, very important is the paperless working scenarios. And the paperless working scenarios are something which is going to be very rampant in future running situations where you have minimum paperwork and maximum digitization. And I think those are some of the challenges which are set in line. There is progress happening in this direction. But I think India is going to lead the way how the supply chain networks are grown over a period of time. And then there are a lot of followers to this India story because I think the technology starts from India. And the startups are doing today great work in terms of this backbone transformation. And we will see a lot of new entrants who would be game changers in the industry. Who would be trendsetters, as well as helping the industry grow up the scale 10x. Taru, one of the biggest point which I always talk about is business transformation. And business transformation applies to logistics and supply chain industry the most. And today, the business transformations are the driving forces of technology savvy companies. So when we talk about the traditional approaches to how we used to run our company and how we used to think about serving our customers, how we used to portray what can be adopted as in terms of a digitization, I think those are the transformation points. And whether you look at a startup or a legacy player, everybody is in this race of accepting and delivering digitization. I think there is no second to run. If you look at the key players in technology, if you look at major players in technologies as well as the smaller startups, all of them offering of various kinds and various stages that can be delivered at various levels of your industry segment. When I talk about various levels, means that if you have a power to talk to an IBM or a SAP or an Oracle, and you have a power to talk to XYZ small startup companies, each can play an important and significant role. But how do you scale it up? I think that is what is very, very important. So when you say you start off small, you vision what is the business going to transform and then scale up 10x, 100x. I think that is something which is going to be very important. And when we talk about starting small, growing big, these technologies and future running situations are going to be game players. And a right vision adopted at the right stage is going to help you in this transformation. So we talk about these various technologies which are, running today, and somebody would clearly come up and ask you what to adopt. How do we adopt? What is the journey one should take to do this technology adoption? I think it is clearly set as a stage where you ask business the right questions, number one. Number two, these technology driven decisions are not IT decisions alone. These are board level decisions which needs to be planned properly, envisaged, as well as delivered over a very quick period of time. So I think gone are those days when we talk about implementation, which are 3 years, 5 years story, and now it is to be delivered in 6 to 8 months time. These are some of the things which are going to be basically game changers for everybody, and so is for Gina. If you look at our journey today, we are 121 years old organization, and today we are still going strong. Because we know the value of digitization. We know that adopting tech not only for our customers but also for our employees is going to be our game changers. So we have continuously over a period of years we have been transforming our technology. So we're looking at SaaS-based platforms, complete cloud adoption, complete secure in terms of processes. So we are an ISO 9001 and 27001 company, ISMS certified year on year. So we believe in SOPs and processes. We see that processes complement technology. So it is no longer a slow adoption of technology. It is a high-paced, highly competitive, well thought of strategized delivery in terms of adopting technology. So I think gone are those days when we thought about visualization on the board stage and then you come back and then you talk about it over a period of years. I think those are some of the things which are going to be passing by. So that is why you have the CDOs and the CIOs looking at working on strategy decisions and adopting it for deliveries which are in the well set timelines. I think that is what is very important to our industry, and we as in Gina have come up to a level where we can collaborate. We have adopted a lot of portals. We have interfaced with agencies in terms of customs clearances. We have looked at e-paper deliveries and no physical printouts, e-invoicing, integration for all our GST TDS requirements. So I think it's when you talk about the CIO role, he no longer says that okay, this is what it is, and then what we have discussed at the board level stays on a paper. It is for the CXO player in technology to look at going and delivering these projects year on year, which are going to be very, very important for these competing times and the challenges that can be looked at. Because today, when we look at a plan, when we say that how can an MNC do it and how can a local player not do it, I think those times are also gone. You can still deliver with a lower cost, higher delivery in technology. Nothing is stopping you doing that. I think that is something one has to understand, Taro. And this particular point is that no industry can survive without accepting challenges head on. When you talk about adoption, one of the clear myths in our mind is adopting any new technology is going to be affecting jobs. I think there is a misconception in terms of that particular statement. The point which comes into a clear focused mind is that any repetitive jobs which are going to be clerical level or time consuming jobs can be easily eradicated with artificial intelligence platforms, or you look at a blockchain, or look at any other technologies that could be used very efficiently if you program it properly as a use case. The other part is that what comes first and what needs to be basically implemented is going to be very important for your governance. So I would say that over a period of time, the industry segment, especially in logistics, the industry segment, 70 to 80% or more is our freight forwarding industry. And that is something that we cater with a strong ERP platform. The ERP platform over a period of time has done a lot of automation. but it needs to stand up to the technical capabilities also and the platform. So it is important that we continuously keep on upgrading our technology backbone and platform to the latest. You're talking about OpenStack platforms, you're talking about cloud mobility, where immediate attention and information flow should happen across the whole segment that you serve. I think that is very, very important. So we adopted a Jina customer portal, which is going to be very important today. We have a clear visibility of our shipments, which are there. We have our sales programs, which are very important. And we have created a portal, future ready portal, that we have looked at in terms of how our sales can do better business in terms of competitive information. So I think as a CXO, you need to see that how jobs are transformed within the company. So jobs, when you say that effectively, if you say that certain processes can be taken over by artificial intelligence, what do you do about these people who are going to scale up? How can they be looking at areas of job operations which can be a value to a company? So I think it's not replacement, but it is going to be engaging the same level of people for more valuable jobs that they can offer to the organization. I think that is something which is going to be very important. And today, when you look at the small players, they have the capability and information which can be game players for you. As I have rightly explained in my earlier points, that whether you are a big or a small or a large player in the market, everybody can adopt technology and everybody can adopt the digital roadmap. It is not actually looked at the finance that you can spend. Those days are gone. When you say that I have to look at a digital strategy, but my costs are going to be huge. No, sir, that is not going to be the picture. If you plan properly, if you look at an area of operations that can be looked at, if you're a small, medium enterprise and you want to say that, yes, I want to scale up my digital strategy, then there are ways and means to do that. And there are right approaches toward that, where your spends don't become a de facto standard of a hindrance to adopt new technologies. So I think supply chain automation today, when we talk about, there are a lot of things which are going to change over a period of time. And marketplaces, especially government-linked marketplaces, are going to be game changers in the days to come, because supply chain logistics industry is a specific industry within a segment, and it is nothing that can be ignored over a period of time. So you talk about transportation, you're talking about 3PL warehouses today, you're talking about efficiencies in these warehouses. Robotics is going to play a big role, because ultimately it is the manpower that can be effectively placed in a situation where it improves your working, not to say that it affects jobs. I think that is one of the advice to our industry, where you can say that how do you scale up your employees? If you adopt the next technology, see that these people who have been doing monotonous jobs can be effectively move into certain structured jobs within the group company, within the company, where they can perform much better. I think one of the areas which is very important over a period of time is data. And we as Jina have looked at using data and platforms over a period of years, which has really guided us in the right directions and will keep us highlighting us in terms of future realizations and advancements. So I think a data science or data structure policy which a company adopts is going to be a very important game plan for you over a period of years. There are these initiatives and silos which are existingly running. So you have one biggest clearance digitization in the last 3 to 4 years is the IceGate platform. So if you look at the IceGate platform, it is one of the biggest digitization which is running for us as a logistics service provider. When I talk about industry 1.0 policy, which is going to be the next realization for all the service providers, this is going to be using a single window working scenario for all logistics service providers. So when I talk about logistics service provider portal, we are talking about government linked agencies, you're talking about freight forwarders, 3PL operators, customers coming onto a single platform to collaborate and use certain standards and effectively operate on future ready blockchain technologies where you have high standards of encryption. You're talking about visibility at every stage and yet quick processing, which is going to be very, very important. So I think quick processing is going to be is something which is going to be future in terms of how we operate. The other part is that there is too much of time spent on certain paperworks, and especially in terms of adoption of platforms. If you have certain safe platforms like blockchain, they can be easily replicated with the manual paperwork. So government has literally come up with new initiatives in these areas also. And they will soon see highlights of successes over a period of time, I would say in quick period of times, where there will be single platforms visibility. When I talk about single platform visibility, as I explained to you, everybody coming on operating on one platform, and you have options to choose, pick and choose as to what you want to do and how you want to do it. That is something which is going to be game changers. And these tech initiatives in logistics are, it is not only linked to the logistics operators, but keeping in mind that the customers really feel the difference in terms of how you can operate logistics in a particular country. And specifically India, you see that any global standards in terms of software deployment or adoption is very, very keenly looked. I could name tens of service providers who are global operators today, but they have India concentration, India back office, large amount of tech platform developments which are happening, and I feel there is a great amount of focus in this area. So this is changing times, changing logistics in the way we look at it right now and how we will look at it over a period of time. So these are going to be the golden glory times in tech initiative adopters. So one cannot be left out in saying that, yes, I do not have certain things. API integrations, collaboration platforms are going to be just the need of the hour in terms of these times. And especially one of the most important point is clicks where no human interference is available for service. I think that is one of the key changes in the tech adoption, where you see that everything works seamlessly without any people intervention in any of the processes. So if there is a success in this roadmap of adoption within internally or externally, you will automatically see that tech has succeeded. And I'm sure logistics industry has a great amount of focus on that particular area.